So these are our 3 key insights from the grief circle. Hello, welcome. We are here. We're coming in hot. We're coming in a little bit sick to tell you about the grief circle. We're coming in sick, but we're mostly coming in hot. And I'm excited to share some insights about this event with you because it reminded me that at the heart of why we do these Be to Belong circles, these events where we're sharing our own experiences and getting to hear from others about their experiences, is because through the process we get to not only learn more about ourselves and have a space to process our own experience, but we get to learn more about the universal human experience. And I was just so inspired by being part of the grief circle that we held to remember that that's what we get to do together. We get to create this more honest patchwork, this more honest, um, yeah, framework with which to see the world. And I think that's really inspiring. But, anyways, there were 3 key learnings about grief that me and Caroline, who were there, learned as a result. And I wanted to share you because I think also the learnings and the similarities as well as the differences are different depending on who shows up to these circles. The first thing we noticed that was very interesting is actually both of us had a bit of resistance to even letting ourselves go there. Um, we, yeah, like had some blockages ourselves. And it brought up a really interesting point, too, that sometimes we're going to be experiencing and moving through our grief in different ways in different seasons, and that doesn't mean it's wrong. It doesn't mean you've become an avoidant necessarily. For me and Caroline, both of us have done a lot of work and deeply feeling our emotions. We actually swing to the opposite side of the pendulum to where we can, I don't know if wallow is quite the right word, but we can really like soak and sink into our grief very deeply when we're back home in our home environments and around our usual support networks. But we notice that because we're both in a new country, making our own livings, and I don't know if I'd go quite as far to say that we're in survival mode, but kind of like we really have to be strong, and we are still building relationships with new people, and that also requires quite a lot of discernment. And that was a really interesting thing to come up, to also like not force ourselves to crack open and to go there, but to trust that we are releasing and grieving in a different way this season, and accepting that, and also trusting that it's all happening behind the scenes. Which kind of brings me to point number 2, allowing something greater than yourself, allowing even this metaphor of a tree. Like a tree doesn't have to try to let go of its leaves. Simply the wind supports the leaves, the natural yellowing of the leaves to the point where they dry up and they fall off. To trust that something greater than you, be it the wind, be it God, be it the universe, is supporting you in releasing, is supporting you in letting go. We notice that a lot of like spiritual communities, or just a lot of the language around self-help, can feel kind of intense at times. It can be like, you need to let go, you need to release. But we were leaning into what would it look like if we stopped forcing ourselves to like release or let go, and let the leaves fall off the trees when they are ready, and allow the wind to carry the leaves. It's natural timing. And number 3, I always forget this one. What's number 3? Might need to look. Number 3 is that, what if the process of grieving isn't just about looking at what you're letting go of, but looking at what has been gained, what is being added as a result of loss. I think loss can feel really heavy sometimes because our root system is being activated, and some of like the support that feels fundamental to holding us up. I'm getting even the image of a spine, like the root chakra, and um, this area that's associated with safety and home and protection is fundamentally being shaken during times of grief and of loss. And so it can be important to remind ourselves that even though, yes, there may be something that is leaving our lives, what are we gaining as a result? It might be a part of ourselves, it may be a way that we're relating to ourselves or relating to relationships. And we found that very important to remember during these times. So I hope you found this interesting, inspiring. I hope it helped you reflect on your own relationship with grief. We plan on sharing these little reflections each week as we do these little workshops, because this is part of the greater mission, is to share like what is coming up in our universal human experience that we're learning through being in these spaces that we create to unpack what's ours. We can also share what is just universal to being human.